सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिंहादिभो भक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, I can see that some of them were there yesterday. This is actually part 2 of our presentation, which we began yesterday at home. But since I can see some of our devotees are here for the first time today in the discussion, and the topic, of course, is essentials of servitude. Essentials of servitude, and this springs primarily from the understanding that our eternal relationship with Krishna is one of being a servant of Krishna, and that is our eternal position, and the devotee aspires for no other position in life than to even more deeply by every passing day realize that particular fortune of how to serve Krishna. Asked his personal associates, namely Ramananda Rai, Prabhupada Goswami Nityananda Prabhu, as to they asked him, Prabhu, you should take a servant with you, because you are a sannyasi. Someone has to carry your kamandalu, someone has to carry your clothes, someone has to carry prasadam for you. So you will be going through all thickets and jungles and cities and towns. Somebody has to accompany you. So having an experience of Kalkrishnadas earlier, and how he had deviated and fallen back from his service and fallen into bad association, Mahaprabhu was not eager to take someone. But then Srila Goswami said, and I'll recite that particular verse here. This is the important verse. So Sundar Goswami is, of course, we know Lalita Devi in the spiritual sky. So his analysis is perfect. He says, Surab kahe, Surab kahe, Ei Balabhadra Bhattacharya, Tomate Susnigdha Bada Pandit Sadhu Arya. Right? Mahaprabhu said, give me a person who is more peaceful at my mind. Because I don't like people to get agitated and disturbed the way Kalkrishnadas was. So that was his one requirement. And so Damodar Goswami said that this Balabhadra Bhattacharya is even more qualified than just being peaceful. He has got 4 other beautiful qualities that are just suitable to serve you. And what are they? He is Susnigdha. Anyone can remind? Okay, let's see if people can remember this. Nadaji. Huh? Snigdha means peaceful. Susnigdha. Yeah.
Affection.
Mr. Prabhu, what does Susnigdha? Affection. Yeah. Very, we talked about some detail. Very, very, very affectionate, very sensitive, right? Very kind demeanor, right? Yeah. For Snigdha, it is that his mind is clear and he has got deep stability of consciousness. Because he is stable in his consciousness, he is not disturbed and therefore not agitated. That comes from his deep faith in Krishna consciousness. Then Susnigdha means he is, primarily he is an extremely loving, caring person. Very, very soft-hearted person.
Well, that is love about duty. Yeah. Everybody does things out of duty, but we are talking about love about duty. Example is like how a mother takes care of a child. She just doesn't do things out of duty, right? If the child is crying, she says, my duty is only 9 to 5. I don't serve after that. In the middle of the night or whatever she's going to do. So that's what is the meaning of Susnigdha. Extremely loving, caring and affectionate by nature and gentle in the demeanor. So these are the qualities that the Lord is looking for in the devotees who should be a good servitor. The third quality which the Lord is looking for is what? Sadhu. Sadhu means somebody pure-hearted and saintly. Right? He is very virtuous, righteous, pure in his thoughts, pure in his words, action. And he has deep faith in Krishna. And he is genuinely devoted and surrendered to the mission of the Lord. That is what is a sadhu. The fourth one was, which all these we discussed in a little more detail yesterday. We are just giving a recap. Fourth was Arya. Arya means advanced in spiritual consciousness and refined in character and a very civilized person. People like to give their children the name Aryan. This one is Aryan, that one is Aryan. So we give names so that the children can develop that quality. Ultimately, nobody names their child Surpankha or Ravan or Dusashan or something because you don't want them to develop those type of qualities, right? You will name them very saintly qualities like Vinay. You will get the name Vinay, Vaibhav, like that, those type of names you will give, right? So, Aryan means very, very advanced in spiritual consciousness, very civilized and refined character. Somebody who has no ulterior motives in doing their seva. They are doing selfless seva without projecting themselves. And we gave the example of Balabhadra Bhattacharya. He had all the opportunity to flaunt his closeness to the Lord. And I am personal servant of the Lord. But he never did that. He always just remained in the background while he was doing his service. So, although adhering to all the responsibilities, but as we say, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, that when you have all the qualities and you are still Vinay, that is what enhances your personality. So that was the fourth one. And the fifth one was Pandita. Pandit means well versed, learned. But being learned is not sufficient. What do you have to be along with being learned? Wise. Because applied knowledge is wisdom. When you can apply the knowledge which you have got, that is wisdom. So the Prabhupada gives in the purport, Buddhi Yukta Sevak. Not that you are a dumb sevak, whatever you tell, will you do this? Use your intelligence and you do. And unless you are well versed, you will not understand. So while Mahaprabhu was on his tour to Vrindavan, he had many ecstatic symptoms. Now, if Balabhadra Bhattacharya was not well versed, he would think maybe Mahaprabhu is getting some epilepsy or fits or something, confusion in his mind. But because he could understand, he was well versed, not only he could understand, he could even explain it to others. That what is the thing happening. So, Pandita means also that he is very, very disciplined and deeply learned. And not only that, he properly represented the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to the public in general, right? So, these were the key qualities that we discussed about yesterday. That these are the practical service plus spiritual understanding he had. He had a proper balance of that, Balabhadra Bhattacharya. And that's why he had all these active ingredients, the vital ingredients, the essentials of servitude to become a good servant. He had all these things because without that he could not have been that. And we discussed how the most important part of our name is Das or Dasi. Because that is what the spiritual master, when he gives you initiation, he is initiating you into the process of how we can become a good servant. And why do we want to become a good servant? As we said yesterday, that even the Lord, when in the chapter of the four Kumaras, he explains that what is the reason behind his greatness. That the Lord is all good, all great, everything. But how did he become great? So he is giving the secret of becoming great. How he became great. Right? How did he become? Because he serves. Yes. Because he serves the feet of his devotees, his feet have become worshipable. Can you imagine? And he's not just saying it out of, he is convinced of that. So if the Lord thinks that, this is an important thing to do, to become a servitor of the devotees, then how much we need to understand what it means to be a good servitor. And because the word servitor is used in such a casual way in spiritual circles, we say, oh, I am your servant. If you write a letter or an email, your servant, your aspiring servant. But what does it actually mean? We need to try to understand by, going deeper into these things. And we said that service is when you please the object of your service. And we discussed three main objects of our services: Krishna, Guru, and Vaishnavas. Sometimes it is relatively easier to serve Krishna and little more this thing to serve the spiritual master. But to serve the Vaishnavas becomes quite a big challenge because of our conditionings and their conditionings. So then we stopped at that point that we'll take it forward from there. That what are the essentials and what does it mean to serve Vaishnavas?
Yeah. So, like anything, there is evolution of dasatva bhava. We join Krishna consciousness and we begin to understand that we are not the enjoyers of this world. Krishna is the enjoyer. And we begin to understand that my role is better suited to be a servant, right? So we get a theoretical understanding at least. We are introduced to that understanding and we hear this again, we are das, and like that. However, that is the beginning of the phase, but we have to evolve, right? And therefore, the acharyas have coined out that there are levels of dasatva, beginning with, as you know, kanishta, then there is madhyam, and there is uttam, right? So there are three types of devotees, three categories of devotees, and there are similarly three categories of servants as well. Three types of servants as well. This has been enunciated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jayo Dharma, by Srila Rupa Goswami. Of course, Srila Prabhupada talks about this also, right? So there are shades of servants. Not everyone is on the same level. Like you have a spectrum from the kanishta to the highest, right? And even within those kanishta, there are some subcategories. You understand that our acharyas are so detailed in their analysis and how deeply they think, right? Like a scientist, the scientist will think deeply about a subject and enunciate, the subject very deeply, so and very analytically. So our spiritual scientists like our acharyas, they also have gone deep into the science of dasatva, right? And they have enunciated and brought out some valuable information as to what is the evolutionary path from kanishta to Uttama. It's very interesting. So, the analysis, the parameters used by acharyas is level of faith, level of surrender, and level of service attitude. Please remember this. This is the way. These are the ingredients which actually together, in what a proportion they are in our consciousness, that determines how much we are going to move forward, right? And therefore, they are the areas in which you have to work. Please remember this. Number one, faith. Number two, level of sharanagati. How much we are sharanagat. So you can see they're all internal qualities. Sharanagati is internal. Self-attitude is internal. Faith is internal. So it has nothing to do with ashram, seniority, juniority, sannyasi, GBC, or whatever, child, adult, man, woman. It is beyond all this, right? It is absolutely, as I say, bhakti is a state of the heart and consciousness, right? So it is completely internal, and only actually the Lord can understand what's happening. It is difficult. He looks like, I think he looks like Uttam. And this guy. So it is not matter of somebody just speculating and saying, Prabhuji, what is Uttam Adhikari? You cannot know. There's no, and yet, even though we cannot judge and we should not judge, yet for the sake of information, we will just enunciate. Is that alright? Just enunciate. So let's start with the qualities of neophytes first. According to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Okay? And there are 7 qualities. And it's good to see if one of them matches with us or not. So, as I say, if the shoe fits you, then you should definitely not reject it but wear it. So, The first one he says is one who chants the holy names, but his consciousness is all mixed up with the material life, completely mixed up. He's in a confused state. Number two, he says, is he imitates others and appears advanced. Because he sees advanced devotees, right? He sees Swamis and all. And he knows that, okay, this is what is considered advanced. Huh? Okay, I know that. So he starts behaving that way. Dandavat Prabhu Hari. So he gets the lingo, he gets the mannerisms, he gets the demeanor. He does all those things which are supposed to be like advanced devotee. But he is not there. He's not there, correct? So he imitates others and appears advanced. He is immature in his dealings. Immature. He has no maturity of understanding. Huh? He is sometimes reckless in his behavior. Reckless. Then, the fifth one he says is, can't really strictly follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. Still wishy-washy, may follow, may not follow. Then, if he follows, he gets a little puffed up. Like a chapati, no? And put it on the tawa, puffs up. So, already we have an ego. The moment you start following, right, the ego starts saying, now you are a devotee. You're not a karmi anymore. You're not a materialist. You're a Vaishnava, right? Well, we are aspiring Vaishnava, but I'm Vaishnava. So that can somehow inflate our ego and we get puffed up. Right? And then because he thinks that he is better than others, this devotee, that devotee, he starts becoming judgmental and he says higher, lower, and he says that I am better than he, she, and they. Right? So he starts becoming judgmental. This is a neophyte tendency. Right? Then the seventh one he says is, imitates that he's on a higher platform than actually he is. He becomes an imitator. These are the qualities of who? A neophyte devotee. So now let's go a little bit into the what the acharyas talk about Kanishta Madhyam. I'm just going to read out things. I'm not going to elaborate, but just FYI. Right? Just hear it. So let's see, as I said, this analysis based on service attitude, surrender and faith. So we have a Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta will have three categories. Kanishta Sevak, right? Kanishta Sevak, Kanishta Servitor, Kanishta Sevak Das will have three categories. Kanishta, Kanishta Madhyam, Kanishta Uttam. Okay? Sounds interesting? Are you eager to hear what happens?
This analysis has been done by Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So it is like such fine refinement.
Refined, very refined. So the Kanishta serves out of duty, fear, or personal benefit, and still has material motivations. For example, he is doing seva, but he is looking for recognition, for rewards, for protection from suffering, protection from all the problems he is facing in life. But he is going to Krishna nonetheless, right? Then Kanishta Madhyam, he is a little more appreciative for devotional service. He is sincere, but he is inconsistent. He still struggles with material desires and has material attachments, and he struggles to give them up. So the example is given that is a devotee who sometimes prioritizes his service, but at other times gets distracted from worldly matters. This is who? This is a Kanishta Madhyam. We talk about Kanishta Uttam. Now what has happened? We talk about faith. His faith is, Kanishta Uttam means his faith is stronger in Krishna's service, but lacks one component of the three. He lacks a deep surrender. He lacks deep surrender. We talk about now Madhyam Sevaks. Madhyam Sevak is an intermediate category. So in general, he has developed a stronger relation of seva and its importance. So that conviction, that as far as conviction is concerned, he is more I'm more convinced about, yes, this is what it is, this is what it should be done, this is the goal of life, this is how I should live my life. So let's say what is Madhyam, Kanishta first. Serves with growing faith, understanding that serving devotees is essential, occasionally struggles with personal motivations, but desires purity. Desires purity. But he's struggling, but he desires purity. There's Madhyam, sees service as a privilege rather than duty, develops true humility and sees himself as Krishna's eternal servant. Right? The word true humility is very important. We are all practicing some level of humility, but true humility with the heart is totally different. Right? So he develops true humility at this level and sees that he has no identity in this world. So that what we say in our definition, Sarvapadhi is himself as Krishna's servant. So he performs, for example, he performs menial services like cleaning temple, etc. with deep joy and a lot of gratitude. He does any menial service, shoe stall, cleaning, washing pots, etc. But he feels excessively happy, joyful and grateful for doing that. There is Madhyam Uttam. He fully embraces the identity of a servant and is fully absorbed 24/7 in the Dasya Bhav. Right? Is deeply devoted to serving both Krishna and his devotees. This is Madhyam Uttam. Then Uttam Sevaks. They are the topmost servants of the Lord. They have reached the highest category. And always the predominant overriding property is that they are always absorbed in Prema Bhakti. We say Prema Bhakti, Yaha Vitya Vinashayate, we say in Guru Puja. They have already achieved Prema Bhakti. Right? So Uttam Kanishta serves with deep love but still maintains some external considerations. Uttam Madhyam is completely selfless and only desires to please Krishna, recognizes service as the eternal identity. Uttam is experiences the highest sweetness in service, serves with full surrender and pure, intense love. So this progression shows how a devotee advances from a duty-bound servant to a spontaneously loving, fully surrendered servant of the Lord and lives in this world for his pleasure alone. Interesting? Yeah? Did you hear this before, this analysis? Yeah. But it is useful, right? Now, when I read this, my mind went to the story of Lord Brahma. I read the analysis. Like in Dwarkapuri, it is given in the teaching of Lord Chaitanya, right? At one point of time, Krishna remembers, Krishna is in the heart of every living being, and meaning that now we don't know Brahma. Where is Brahma? Brahma is way there, top, very advanced Vaishnava, secondary creator of the world, father of all the demigods, and he's an extremely advanced soul, one of the Guna avatars and Acharya for Sampradaya. So much glory to Brahma, right? So he's the most glorified person in this universe. You know. So when Krishna understands that he's got a little bit of trace of pride, then in Dwarkapuri he remembers. So Brahmaji wants to come and meet him. So Brahmaji comes to the door, correct? And the doorman says, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Brahma." He said, "Okay. Please go and tell Krishna that I want to see him." So then he goes and says, "The Brahma wants to see you, my dear Lord. Should I allow him to come in?" He said, "Go and ask him, which Brahma?" He said, "My dear sir, which Brahma are you?" So that question knocks him off completely. He said, "This doesn't make sense. There's nothing like which Brahma." But he said, "No, anyway, we'll clear it afterwards." He said, "Tell him it is the 400 Brahma, the father of the 4 Kumaras." It goes inside and said, "So send him in." So he's bewildered, completely bewildered. Why did he ask this question? Which Brahma? So now he's entering with that query in his mind. He's entering the lords or the gateways, and he goes to the courtroom of Dwarkadish Krishna. Right? And when he enters, what does he see? He sees Brahma with 8 heads, 16 heads, 32 heads, 128 heads. Just sochte jao. Just keep imagining, right? But you can't, but we still imagine, right? And then he had 516 heads and thousands of heads and millions of heads. Now, all this has, and we think this Hare Krishna devotees are all mad people. They believe in such, they believe this is true, and some doctor is saying that everybody is listening also. So doctor is mad, everybody else is mad, these people are mad people, right? What are they talking? Millions of heads is possible? Right? Not possible. Right? So, the Lord wanted to, and our Brahma, who's taking care of 4 directions and he has 4 heads, it is said that he felt like a tiny mosquito in the midst of giant elephants. Right? So, Krishna wants to show that even if you are on the level of Brahma, what are you ultimately? You are what?
Insignificant.
What are you? Huh? You are insignificant. So while we may go through this analysis of Madhyam, Kanishta, we should know at whatever level we are, or whatever thing we may think, oh, I have reached here, whatever. But ultimately, if Brahma is insignificant, then we are nowhere. Then we are nowhere. So let's not get any airs or being this or that. We are simply, in the Lord's eyes, insignificant. Like when they met, when they met Prabhupada, they said, Prabhupada, I am the most fallen. Prabhupada said, you are the most nothing. You are insignificant. Right? The word most, it cannot apply to a Jivatma. Most, we are most nothing. Neither most advanced, neither most fallen. We are most nothing, we are simply insignificant. Right? But the beautiful thing comes now. The beautiful thing is now. Our basis of our discussion is from the greatest of all scriptures, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we will keep moving forward in how the author takes this subject a little further. Right? Now, what is Kaviraj's Goswami's mood? He says, now he gives all these categories, right? But what is his mood? And mood which we need to adopt. He says, I want to serve from the most advanced to the most neophyte. In fact, I am writing the scripture because it is my act of worshipping all categories of Vaishnavas. So, that should be our mood as well. If Kaviraj Goswami, who's a Paramahamsa, who's Nityasiddha Manjari of the spiritual sky, right? He wants to serve a neophyte devotee and the most advanced also, and more advanced, all categories in between. Then our mode should be to serve everyone. Right? Very, very important.
So actually Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's writing of the book was his way of worshipping the devotees. We want to worship the devotees, right? We cannot take agarbatti, diya, flower, chamar, everything. It's not always worship means that. When you are able to serve them in a good consciousness, that means you are worshipping the devotees. So he said, I want to worship the devotees, what? As he said, from the advanced to the neophyte. So often, if we analyze ourselves, we are quite selective in our service, right? Some devotees whom we think are uttam or uttam, we will be very eager to serve. But other devotees, we feel, this is okay, I'm better than him. Or I'm better, rather he served me or she served me than I serve them, So we become very, very selective in what we are doing. But great Paramahamsas like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that he is not discriminating. He wants to serve everybody, and that is the most important essential of servitude. Right? One time we had to go for yatra. We go for Kartik Yatra every year, and our spiritual master was there, and there was one very very simple village boy whose mother, very old lady, and that boy was an orphan. He didn't have a father, and very very simpleton type of a person. They didn't even have money to come for the yatra and all. So Maharaj called our temple president and he said, they were not able to come for yatra, and he asked, are you coming for yatra? So they just humbly said no. So Maharaj called the temple president and he said that I want you to arrange everything, arrangements of accommodation, prasad and all for yatra in such a way as you would do for Krishna Chandra Prabhu's mother. Now, Krishna Chandra Prabhu is Mr. Mafatla, very senior person in our congregation, materially and spiritually both ways. So he wanted to put across a point that don't treat that, oh, this is Mr. Mafatla's mother, so we will give some extra treatment because he's a well-placed person in society. They said, I want you to treat the mother of this ordinary child like you would do that. So what was the message he was trying to give? Do not discriminate. Don't be very yeah to them and just treat otherwise, right? So this is what we need to understand, that when we are serving Vaishnavas, as we said, there will be categories of Vaishnavas. We are not going so much into detail, otherwise, like as we said, KK, Kanishta, Kanishta Madhyam, KM, Kanishta Uttam, KU. There's no point in going into detail in that because these are not even considerations for a Paramahamsa devotees. You don't care he's a KK or a UK or whichever he is, Just because he is a Vaishnava, that is sufficient for us to serve. And that's what even Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, anybody would talk anything about a devotee to him that, Prabhu, this fala devotee is like this. Even before he would start saying, he would say, for me it is enough to know that he is a devotee. He is a Vaishnava. I don't want to hear anything more than that. Right? So sometimes on a practical level, we might have to deal with such situations. If you are in some position where you are going to make a difference, if you don't, take action or you don't comment. However, what he is talking of is that within the heart and the mind, never respect for any Vaishnava should go down. And only then, that is the most important essential of being a servant. So doesn't matter you are advanced, doesn't matter this thing. In the Lord's eyes, what is important that we have to do. Whether I don't like you, then I know everything inside outside of what you are. But I don't maintain a relationship with you based on what I feel about you or what I have experienced from you. Very difficult, very easy to say, very difficult to practice, but unless we say it and we try to remind ourselves, we'll never end up doing that. But what is important is how dear and important that Vaishnava is in connection to Guru and Krishna. If we know that with all the faults, that person is still dear to Guru and Krishna, then I have to put this thing aside. It's not that I'm a stone, I don't get affected or anything, but still, I have to operate on a higher principle. And that's the only way to exist in any community. Do you agree? Yes. Otherwise, we cannot live in a community. We'll all become islands. That I can't get along with this one, I cannot get along with this one. And who knows faults better than me? Sometimes when you're working so close to each other, it's like working close to fire. You can get burnt also. You can cook your bhakti also nicely, but sometimes you can get burnt also, right? Unless we go on this higher thing. So we want to take this lesson of what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, both the advanced and the neophytes, both. I don't want to discriminate to become objects of my service. And what is the result of being able to do this? If somehow or the other you are able to achieve this, which is a struggle, which is a challenge, When we are able to do that, now this is the most important part of our discussion which we want to discuss. That what are the results? That if you are able to transcend all these things and see all Vaishnavas as objects of our service, following all these essentials of servitude, of what we said, Snigdha, Susnigdha, Pandita, Sadhu, Arya, then what is the result? Okay, now please pay attention to this. Krishna helps us. Not that we will be able to achieve this. When he becomes pleased with us being able to do transcend this, then Krishna helps us to do what? Number one, Krishna helps us to develop deep faith in his plans. Is it easy to have deep faith in his plans? You could say it verbally, but if something happens to us, we are not able to do it. But if we are able to understand and operate with these essentials of servitude, transcending our differences, then Krishna helps us to develop deep trust in his plan. To know very deeply that Krishna loves me. No matter how painful a situation might be, you never doubt Krishna's kindness in his plans. That faith will come. It doesn't come by your own endeavor that let me try for that faith. Try. It comes by Krishna's mercy. He will give that faith all of a sudden. You may not even know that Krishna gave it to you. At present for us, this trust is still very fragile and it is theoretical. We know it philosophically, but our hearts have not fully digested it or accepted it. It's not on a deep level. But when we do the essentials of servitude in that mood, then Krishna helps us to get this faith. Isn't it a wonderful thing? Because how many situations we will go through in our life which will require us to have faith. Why this happened to me? Why? It will come. The second thing that happens to us, we will learn, he will help us. Krishna will again. The important thing is always Krishna helps us. So what does Krishna help us? Number two, to develop internal connection with him, not just external practice. Right now we are on the level of external practice. We are chanting, we are reading, we are associating. But he will help us to develop that internal connection with him. So we, practice chanting, reading, but our heart is not fully open to what? To talk to Krishna honestly. What is prayer? What is a prayer? It's a talk you have with the Lord, right? You glorify the Lord, you pray to the Lord. So he will open our heart to be able to talk to him. Right now we lack this raw intimacy. We cannot claim like this. Like I remember when we go to some of these famous temples like Jagannath Puri and Tirupati and Pandharpur, before you have even looked at the Lord church, move. Huh? So then we always used to tell that you are not even able to see. Before you blink, you are out of it, So this is not done, Why they do like this? They don't. And then when we came to Gopinath temple, Maharaj said, you are allowed to stand here for hours. Are you able to stand? You don't know what to stand and do. After some time you become restless, somebody goes, yeah, I'm coming. You are allowed now. He's the same Jagannath. He's the same Balaji. He's the same. But do you have that raw intimacy with the Lord to be able to stand for hours and pray even if you are allowed to? Even if you are allowed to stand in front of Balaji, what would you keep praying for so long? After 1, 2, 3, done. So we lack that. And we also become hesitant to become vulnerable to Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants, we want to be vulnerable to his plans. Let our life be guided by him. I don't want to make plans. Let it be whatever he decides. So we want to become like that. With deep inner relationship with Krishna. Bhakti is all about developing our... But we are so busy in the external formats of bhakti that we think we are doing bhakti, but we have not landed up developing a relationship only with the Lord. Right? So, this is all what the Lord will help us to do what? Develop internal connection with him, not just external. Are you with us?
Yes.
The third thing the Lord helps us. What does he help us? He helps us to develop our weak gratitude muscles. Sometimes we are, oh thank you, thank you Lord. Okay, thank you. By the way, once in a while we thank, but the moment something wrong, we start blaming and everything, right? But when things go wrong, our default button is what? Why me? Why did this have to happen to me? I gave my life. I did everything for Krishna. Why did it have to happen to me? But when you get with Krishna's help, what will you learn to think? Your default button will become what? Thank you, Krishna, for arranging this, even though it is to purify me. Negative situations in our life, they purify us. Whether it is a health crisis, a relationship crisis, so many crises we go through, right? Financial crisis. But when Krishna will help us to go through these by strengthening our weak gratitude muscles, which is such an important thing for us to not blame the Lord, right? So imagine the benefits you are getting by being able to look at all devotees on a same way and trying to practice your service attitude to them. And how do you develop this gratitude muscle? How does the Lord help you to do that? Through remembrance of past mercy. Krishna has a track history, right? Track record, hai na? Like he did this to this, he did that to Putana. He delivered Putana also, you know. She was such a negative person. Rukmini, last minute he came and helped her, no? Track record is clear that he comes. Even if it is last minute, he will come. He will come to save me. So I don't have to, you know, become negative about it. Several times, so many, all the scriptures are full of these type of pastimes. Of what? The past mercy that the Lord gave other devotees, and that gives us hope that even I may be considered if we follow all those things which we spoke about, then Krishna helps us to do this. And even in our lives, we have got so much mercy. Anyone can say, yeah, I have never got any mercy. Anyone can say that? We have got so much mercy. In fact, somebody, I don't remember who, they said when the spiritual master gives you mercy, or Krishna's mercy, you are able to recognize it is only to be able to tide over the difficult times when you will go through. It will give us strength to do it, to go through all that. So you have to remember that. That, oh, you know, I have got so much mercy was there in my life, this, that. So by remembrance of past mercy. Okay, 3 things. 4th thing, what will Krishna help us to do? He will help us to develop detachment to comfort. What is the meaning of this? Sometimes we come to Krishna consciousness and we secretly want bhakti to make life smooth also. Secretly, somewhere in the corner, that my life will become smooth. You know, I have come to bhakti now. Right now, you know, Brahmanda, Brahmite, I have been thokar marod here and there and been kicked here and there. Now I have come to bhakti, so I am hoping that life will become smooth. And even others will tell you, your relatives and all. One of my friends, she lost her father, and immediately relatives said, just see, before you came to bhakti, everything was good. Now you came to bhakti and you lost your father. Right? Not only our mind will say, people will also add to, you know, masala chowk and everything they will do to make you realize that. So we secretly want bhakti to make life smooth. But bhakti is not about that. Bhakti is about making the heart soft, not life smooth. Please hear this again. Bhakti is not, whoever promised that, did Krishna promise that, then what happened to the Pandavas? He never promised that life will be smooth, but he promised that your heart will become soft. And that's why it's called Makhan Jor, because butter is the softest part of anything you can be there. So when our only attachment is to Krishna, we will be ready to lose anything and everything for the Lord. So we will develop detachment. That is the highlight of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, right? Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. That Vairagya, you will develop that detachment to comforts. If it is there, we don't reject it. Yeah, I don't want to stay in a comfortable, even if I have a house, I will sleep in the road. We are not talking of that type. But we have attachment, we can't do without it. But we will develop slowly detachment from all of that. The 5th thing is our ego to not stay relevant. He will help us to make our ego irrelevant to us. That means He will help us to deal with our ego, to subdue the ego just like He subdued Kaliya. So we want to serve. All of us want to serve. That much is clear. But we have hidden desires of name, fame, recognition. We want respect. We want some respect. And then we pray also, my Lord, please make me humble. And then the Lord makes you humble through some situation. Krishna arranges something to humble you and we start resisting. Humble, but not like this, my Lord. That also we want to dictate that make me humble, but in this way, not in that way. But He will make you the way He wants you to do. So Krishna will give us the intelligence not to resist when our ego gets challenged. And who's going to challenge our ego? Not the mic, not the table, not the fan. Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas will challenge our ego. Isn't it true? They are the biggest mirror. Yeah. Purifiers and a mirror in front of us. Right? So when that happens, a good servant is ready to become a nobody. A good servant is ready to become a nobody if that's what pleases Krishna. And Krishna helps us to understand that reality. Right? That is the fifth benefit that happens to us. The sixth thing that happens is what? The Lord helps us to see the big picture. Right? Life is full of what? Dramas. So many dramas happen in our life, isn't it? We do once in a year, but daily dramas happen in our life. We will not get trapped in the small temporary dramas of life and lose sight of the eternal big picture and the story of the soul. Such a beautiful concept. Any community, how many dramas take place daily? The managers know. All the managers sitting on the chairs. Everybody here knows that staying in a community could be a very dramatic experience. Right? We all have to play our roles, whatever is required. Sometimes we become villains, sometimes we become heroes, right? But we have to play. And it is only by Krishna's mercy that we will be able to understand this reality. Krishna will help us to understand, to see the bigger picture and not get stuck at me and mine at the smaller level. And He will help us to see the bigger picture. Whatever is favorable, we do. Whatever is unfavorable, we reject. So that is such an important understanding that the Lord helps us to do. And the seventh one, which is the most important, which we would like to understand, that which is most relevant to us. What does the Lord do and help us to do? He helps us develop association with deep souls. That is His biggest gift. So there are 4 types of friends in this world. Okay. One is called, Sanskrit terms, bandhus. Bandhu means hi by acquaintances. You meet, Haribol, Prabhu, how are you? Fine? Thank you. 7:30? Kirtan? Okay. That's a hi by acquaintance. Every time you meet, that's all. It doesn't go beyond that only. There are people like that, right? You cannot get deep with everybody. The second level is sakhas. Sakha means what? You invest some time with each other. Some more detailed information you exchange about each other. Where do you work? What do you do? What are your services? Would you like to come and help in this? There is deeper level of friendship. But you do not get very close. There is still some distance. The third is close friends. Where what do you do? 2 things. You share and you care. You share your life with them and, reveal your mind and confidence and hear the mind and confidence. And you care. And allow them to care for you. That's the third level. And the fourth level is known as the Suhrid. Suhrid means, it's a very beautiful term. Krishna uses in Bhagavad Gita, right? Suhrid means what? He helps you as a well-wisher, and guide in life for our benefit. On a very deep level, we can have that exchange with somebody, isn't it? Now, out of the 4, The most difficult is the last one, because today, to have deep relation, we don't have that trust only. We may love people, but we don't trust. Our hearts are broken. Situations have come in our life in such a way that it is very difficult to go to that level of friendship. But when we have the right attitude for service and these understanding of these essentials of servitude, then the Lord helps us to develop such relationships even in people around us. Right? Sometimes we have friends around us, but we lack the intimate personal association that nourishes our faith. We are talking of that type of association. The intimate personal association that nourishes our faith in Guru, Krishna, the process, in everything. And Krishna will help us get, if he is pleased with us, our attitude, then he will help us to get this high quality sadhu sangha. And he will help you to get. But more important than that, what will he do? And give you the intelligence to not take them casually, superficially, but reveal how to go deep and have soul searching discussions whenever you meet, and to be able to transcend differences. This is the most important benefit which we require at our level. Everybody likes to serve, but everybody has a different mood of service. There's no contradiction in wanting to serve. Everybody wants to serve, right? But when the Lord is merciful on us, He will give us the intelligence of how to become a very congenial member of a community. Not trying to, you will be part of a problem, not part of a solution. Be able to go deeper into the depths of relationships. So this is not possible on our own. Is it possible? Left on our own, we will have differences and misunderstandings daily. We will have daily problem like that. But when the Lord is happy with us, when we do not see any discrimination, then imagine this benefit we get. And this is the biggest benefit which we could harp upon in our Krishna conscious life. Do you agree to that? Yeah.
So, these are very detailed analysis of what happens when we move and evolve gradually, become a better and better and better servant of the Lord. Right? So, when you think about those personalities who have achieved this, then our hearts go to people like Ishwara Puri, for example. Right? When his Guru Maharaj, Sripad Maharaj Puri, was at the last phase of his life, he became physically invalid. He was bedridden and he couldn't manage even his bodily activities of daily life. Right? And yet, he was nursed, he was taken care of, he was served in such an intimate, what we call as susnigdha, very, very intimate way. He assisted his Guru Maharaj in remembering Krishna, assisting him in every possible way in his final journey in this mortal world. And imagine the benefit of being such a great servant as we are seeing over here. Ishwara had all those traits which you are talking about. He was a Pandit, he was an Arya, he was a Sadhu, he was everything, he was a saintly person. Because he received the ultimate grace of Madhavendra Puri, he became the Guru of God himself. Right? He became the Guru. And so he said, here is a perfect servant. Because a perfect servant, I will make him my master, Mahaprabhu said. Because he is a perfect servant of my devotees, Madhavendra Puri, therefore I will put my head at his feet. And Mahaprabhu became his insignificant servant. So we can see that, right? Uddhava was, for example, so close. Uddhava had all these qualities which you're talking about. In fact, there is a word called as Haridas Varya, right? Where there are the topmost devotees. So in Hastinapur, the Haridas Varya is Yudhishthir Maharaj. In Sri Dwarkapuri Dham, the highest servant is Uddhavji. And in Vrindavan Dham, the highest devotee is Giriraj Govardhan. Right? So if you look at those examples, for instance, then And he had all these qualities which we are talking about. And what was the outcome of that very intimate, confidential service? He was to become the carrier of Krishna's own personal message. He would not trust anybody. There was, the whole Yadu family was there. In Dwarkapuri, all the Yadus are staying. Right? Thousands of Yadus are staying there. All of his devotees. But he trusted only one person. You carried my message to my beloved parents in Vrindavan, my dear gopis, my dear friends, the gopas. Give this message of love. So he became the carrier of Krishna's intimate message. Right? So this way we can see that whenever this sort of seva is rendered, then Krishna entrusts you. Because Srila Prabhupada, our beloved Srila Prabhupada, because he was a perfect das of his spiritual master, right? He was intimate with his Guru Maharaj. He was a Pandita, he was an Arya. All this what we talk about, he had his relationship with his spiritual master and the Parampara. The Parampara together blessed him to become the carrier of the eternal message of Lord Chaitanya and flood the whole world with Krishna Prema and Krishna consciousness. That is the power which he got. So we can see the gain if he can slowly evolve into that stage which you're talking about, then you become extremely dear to the Lord and he can become instruments of doing things which are beyond our imagination. Right? How wonderful is that? So ultimately, Radhan Maharaj says in a particular quote, we don't want to become great. In the material world, you want to become great. Great scholar, great businessman, great, and everything feel great. Now, how many people are your followers on likes and this and that? On social media, you're like a great guy. In spiritual life, we don't want to become great. We simply want to serve those who are great. And for us, who's great? Anybody who is Krishna's servant is a great soul. Because of all the people in this world, he's rightly situated. He's serving Krishna. Because he's serving Krishna, we address him as Prabhu. So everybody in ISKCON is who? Prabhu. There is only one person who's called Das. Who is that? Right? If we can keep whatever our language is, we say Prabhu. If we can really believe, follow, imbibe and really digest this word, Prabhu means master. Right? Prabhu, I told you not to do this. Nonsense. So we can say Prabhu and chastise somebody. He is a master, you're chastising him, Hari Bol. Right?
Like so, Prasad was horrible. Sometimes Prasad was horrible.
So, if we are addressing people as Prabhu, we need to have that mood that they are our Prabhus. Mother, Mata, and Mother. Prabhu. So, if we can truly do this and gradually move along this path which we talked about, which is enunciated by none other than Sri Damodar Goswami, then we are on the royal beautiful road. Again, I will end with Mahaprabhu's verse, which he said to the Kulinagram devotee. He said, Prabhu kahe, Vaishnav seva, Naam Sankirtan, Duikara Shigra Pave, Sri Krishna Charan. Can we end with this beautiful thing? Because the whole thing is doing two things: serve the devotees and chant Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu kahe, Vaishnav seva Naam Sankirtan, Duikara Shigra Pave, Sri Krishna Charan. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Bhakti Mahendra Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Very good.
Mataji said, right? Yes. Prayer, worship, and then she said communication to God. One. So the question I have is, when we do, we say prayer, like I say worship, right? So that means we are worshiping. So how can worshiping be a communication? Because it sounds like it's a one-way street.
Sorry, I thought you were answering. Can you please repeat?
Earlier you said prayer is a worship to God. It's a way of our communication to God. But worship is we are glorifying the Lord. So how is that a communication? Because communication to me is a back and forth. This is a one-way worshiping. So help me understand that.
No, what I meant.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, but it's not good. When we are saying that prayer is a communication, how do we communicate with the Lord? You can't pick up a phone and I'm coming to that. So how do we communicate? Like if I have to communicate with you, I have to pick up the phone and first I will speak to you, then you will respond to me, right? So when I'm praying to the Lord, I'm communicating my feelings to Him. And then how does He communicate to me? How does the Lord communicate to me? Through His devotees. Through the Shastra. Shastra are the words of the Lord, right? The Shastra, Bhagavad Gita is spoken by whom? By Krishna. They are the words of the Lord. So when I communicate my thoughts and my feelings and offer my life, and prayer is that, right? It's a means to communicate that. Then through the devotee association, through the Shastra, through the Bhagavad Kathas, whatever we hear, the Lord communicates His desire to me. I am asking you for something and you will respond to me to do that. That is His way of communicating to us. So we are talking of that way of two-way communication.
So,
Mike?
no, it's okay. Yeah, when you explain that, we have to be polite to devotees and treat everyone as Prabhu and Mataji, but when we have that vow, after listening this, we feel inspired to do that. But, if we get a bad reaction, like, their ego in front of, how do we stop feasting on their ego and, still maintain that positivity we had, after, hearing this or, after worship? What can you say about that?
Very good. Devotees are here to purify you. Alright? The amount, why do we say Krishna consciousness is such a rapid process of purification that you can go back to God in one lifetime? What you could not do by staying in the Himalayas for several thousands of years, you can achieve one life. How is that? Because you stay with devotees. And Krishna places the devotees with you to actually purify you. So you can serve together, and by staying with them, they will purify you. Right? So, for going back to Godhead, we need to develop these qualities. Vaishnava qualities, right? They are there in the heart. Right? You can't go to Godhead in impure state. Right? So when you stay with devotees, you actually learn to develop the qualities of humility, forgiveness, tolerance, forbearance. Is it not? They will teach you. When you see the devotee as a part of a family, in your house, you're staying with your father, maybe your brother, sister, whoever is this thing. How many times you have interacted in a negative way? You have probably said something which you don't like and you snapped back, right? At your mother, or mother snapped back at you, right? What did you do at that time? You rejected them, you kept away from them, you still, what did you do? What was your response?
Means, you don't reject them.
You don't reject them.
Yeah.
You still accept them as part of you, right?
Yeah,
But you learn to live with them, understand their nature, right? They are still part of you. So when you see this temple as Krishna's family, when you see this temple as Prabhupada's family, then we have our differences. Sometimes we may really have some rough edges which will rub together, right? But we can still accommodate together. ऐसा होता है. This can happen in a family. Doesn't matter. Okay. Right? So So that's the broader understanding which we have. When you see it like that, that takes a little maturity, that takes a little more some wisdom to see things like that. Not every interaction with devotees will be smooth, nice, congenial, loving, caring. Something will be like that. But this happens not all the time, right? But with most devotees it will be, and that keeps you going. That keeps you going. That keeps you going.
Glad you mentioned family, because I think instead of devotee, I should have mentioned family. Devotee is I think less of a tension, but more is the family.
No, but Prabhu, when it comes to either anybody around us, whether it is in the job scenario or family or devotee community, the word but which you use now, but there can be seminars on the word but. Because as soon as you use the word but, it deletes everything else what we are trying to digest in our lives. Isn't it? So with a person who is good to you, to be good, what does it take? Does it take anything? It's natural, na? Oh, he's so good to me. Where is that cordless mic which we were speaking on? Somebody has it? You get to ask question. So it doesn't take anything to be good to a good person. But when somebody doesn't behave in an expected way, that's when our spiritual muscles have to be put. That's why we call it. It helps us to strengthen our spiritual muscles, and that is Krishna's kindness on us. If everybody was a yes minister around us, everybody just said yes, yes, whatever you say, okay, fine, whatever you say, then where would we practice all these qualities which we are supposed to do? Isn't it true? So we have to thank Krishna when somebody comes like this in our life. And thank you, Krishna, you are giving me an opportunity to go one notch higher, to try to show you that I still love you and I still respect the Vaishnavas around me by helping me to put me in this type of a scenario, time to time. Because when we are saying that Vaishnavas will purify you, doesn't mean it's always in a negative way. As he said, Vaishnavas purify through their association, through their example, but sometimes they purify you like this also, by helping you to strengthen those muscles which you require.
Thank you.
One question yesterday you said you will answer.
What was the question? Leela Mandiru.
Yeah, on those lines.
On the same thing, the whole seminar was on that.
Yeah, and like you said, it's very easy to work with devotees who have our like mindset, but when we are faced with these devotees, it may not be like us.
If we read Mahabharata, na, when Bhima, he would see, big demons coming, chitlu pitlu people coming, like this, but then he got more energized, that, okay, come, now is the real, I'll enjoy the real fight, So sometimes some devotees are like that, when challenges come, they feel very energized that it's an opportunity to grow. This progress in spiritual life from being a duty-bound servant to becoming a love-bound servant will only come when such challenges will come now. Because only if you love, you will try to overlook and do it. Otherwise, you are doing it out of duty. But the whole progression from being a Kanishta Sevak to being a Uttam Sevak is this progression which we need to go through, right? Isn't it true? So, that is what it is. Sometimes it's good. And that's why we love staying in a community. If you isolate yourself, neither you will be benefited in this way nor that way. But in staying in a community, you will be benefited this way and that way. Positive and negative. But by isolating, slowly people withdraw. Who's going to go through all this headache? Better I remain on my own. Then you neither benefit in a positive way and neither you will have these experiences to grow. Is that okay, Mataji?
I think there's a nice statement by Dalai Lama. We should not behave as bad as they are, but I should behave the way as good as I am. When somebody behaves bad with you, what is the natural reaction? If you are bad with me, I am also. So let's not behave as bad as you are, but as good as I am.
In India, you know, when there is a wedding, somebody sits down with a register and people give envelopes, no? So they will note it down. 51, no? I think 51 only to her. You should not give 101. She gave, why am I noting down to do tit for tat? To some extent, you know. That, oh, this one gave that much, so I should give. So, vice versa is not like that, you know. To give tit for tat. We don't want to give. Shall you behave like that? Your turn will also come tomorrow. You know. Natural reaction is that, you know. That's a material way of thinking. And we all naturally gravitate towards that. But that's what the spiritual means only to try to learn how to rise above all these natural reactions which we have. That's why I said Krishna helps us to overcome see the bigger picture and overcome the smaller dramas in life which will happen as a daily affair. And we will learn how to laugh it out. It happened. So good, yeah, it was a great fight. Let's move on. We have to move on. With anybody, where will you go? Family members, if you deal like that, you fight and then you stop talking to each other. How long? How long? When you feel hungry, you have to ask your wife to give you something. Right? If the wife needs money, of course now everybody is working, so you don't have to ask or anything. The men also cook. I'm just giving a very gross example. You need each other. At the end of the day, all you have is each other. If I don't get along with you, when I'm dying, you will, suppose you only happen to be the one standing next to me, nobody else is there. You're chanting Hare Krishna to help me remember Krishna. No, not you. Don't help me to remember Krishna, not you. Anybody else but you. Then where will we go? And actually now, communities, it's a great fun. I mean, we also live in a community in Hira Road. We have over like 300 devotees staying in the same. You can imagine how much chanting and feet must be taking place. But it is fun because you really learn how to live. Actually, this is dress rehearsal. In the material world, staying in community is dress rehearsal. Otherwise, when you go back to Godhead, you say, you also came back to Godhead. So you also, and they will look at us and they will say, and you came back to Godhead. So it's nice. You know? Of course, when you are in the pan, you feel the heat of it, but retrospectively, when you think and you go a little above, it's not bad at all. It's worth it. But the benefits much outweigh the small skirmishes that may be there. Yeah.
Here we talked about a lot of Vaishnavas, right? The purification comes from Vaishnava, the association of Vaishnava. But what about other living entities? Like, so, living entities are here. Vaishnavas, we are calling ourselves, we are still trying to be a Vaishnava. Right? So we are not like already in that platform. So I'm seeing that the purification also comes from outside, right? Like, not having to discriminate between Vaishnava and non-Vaishnava. Because the same Mahaprabhu's like Purinagram, first time when they go say who is a Vaishnava, anybody who says one time Hari, right? I'm saying anybody would have told one time, right? My name is Gopi Krishna, somebody would have called me as Gopi Krishna. So how do why are we discriminating that purification of only from Vaishnavas, not from other living entities?
We are not saying that.
We didn't, I hope we did not communicate that way, that we are cutting ourselves off that. We are talking about, the topic was mainly how to improve our Das Bhav, right? That was the main thing. Now, when you are Uttamadhikari, we can say, okay, everyone is same. Theoretically speaking, what you say is true. But that everyone is devotee only, why should we differentiate? But at the same time, in a practical level, for practicing Krishna consciousness, we need to know that we are Vaishnavas, right? We do not disrespect. See, our philosophy is what? Shakala Sammane Korita Shakati Dehonata Jata Jata, right? We sing during Vyasa Puja. So, we are taught by Mahaprabhu to respect everybody, right? But the level of respect is not the same. The way you respect your wife is one level. The way you respect your boss is another level. You respect your father is another level. Respect your guru is another level. Respect. So the respect is at different levels. So we respect the non-devotees as well. We don't neglect them. We are not. There's no tiraskar. This is what was tiraskar. Tiraskar means we have, we really abhor them or something. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And yet we in our hearts have a special respect reserved for those who are aligning themselves to a life of purification by practicing God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. We keep a special level of respect for them without disrespecting even the ant or the cow or the dog on the street. Gita says very clearly, Vidya Vinaya Sampanna, Brahmani Gavi Hastini. Right? So we are not being told to do that, right? Prabhupada would see a slug, in his room, and Prabhupada would say, you chant Hare Krishna to the slug, let it go outside. So our great acharyas have shown us how to respect even the smallest. Brigari was respecting even the ant as he was running, right, to meet his Guru Maharaj. So our acharyas and our scriptures have taught us both these things. Right? But we are just talking about how we hold devotees in special in our heart. They are very special. Why? Because Krishna loves them more. All animals are dear, but why do we try to love the cow more? Because Krishna loves cow more. Does it mean that he hates the rabbit and the dog and the buffalo? No. Because Krishna is the father of all living beings. But Krishna loves all animals, he loves the cow. Therefore, we will reserve a special level of respect for cow and call her because she is our mother. Is it alright?
Actually, please correct us wherever we.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks.
So you just mentioned that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that I should serve all the Vaishnavas. But then Prabhu is saying that according to the level of Vaishnavas, we offer our respect differently. So if my guru comes, I will serve him in a different way than for somebody else, right? So there is a discrimination we are seeing between all the Vaishnavas.
That is natural, Prabhuji. I don't think you want to destroy naturality over here. Naturally, the amount of respect you will give to your spiritual master will be more than a person who just come for a Sunday feast program. Who's coming regularly for Sunday feast program. But if your Guru Maharaj walks in, so how can you be unnatural to this? You're getting the point. We are not trying to be unnatural. We definitely will reserve more respect to the person who is more dear to Krishna, advanced. Again, the same thing here. Because he is more dear to Krishna, because he has given his life completely. What is spiritual master? He has given his life fully to Krishna. He is more dear to him. So therefore, for him, I will reserve a special level of respect for him. So we are not trying to negate here. We are not in a negative philosophy here. At the same time, we do not want to destroy the natural flow of emotions which happens by natural categorization also. Is it not?
When we are saying that respect everybody, I just wanted to say. When we are saying respect everybody, how will you respect a snake and a tiger? How will you respect him?
No, I'm saying in the Vaishnava community.
No, I'm talking even there might be some devotees who might be a different natured person in the Vaishnava community. Sometimes you respect people who might be negative, even among Vaishnavas, by maintaining a good distance, a respectful distance. We use that word, right? We maintain a respectful distance from some devotees who might be quite negative also. Not that everybody is going to be positive. So just like you cannot say that if I have to respect everybody by loving them, if I see a Vaishnava, I'll go and embrace her. But if I see a snake, I can't go and embrace the snake. I have to maintain the distance. I cannot embrace a tiger. I have to maintain a respectful distance. So there will be varieties of Vaishnavas. So the respect doesn't go down, but the form in which the respect will come can vary. But we are not, at no point we are saying being disrespectful. There will always be levels of respect, as he said. You cannot respect, just like you cannot have a friend of the same level, you can't have same depth of friendship with everybody. You can't have the same amount of love for everybody. Same way, you cannot have the same amount of respect for everybody. But we are talking of the principle of respect has to be there for everybody. That much discrimination is natural. As he said, we cannot destroy naturality.
It cannot be artificial.
Yeah, we cannot talk.
It cannot be artificial. I respect, the ant as I respect my spiritual master. It doesn't work like that. It will be very unnatural to respect the ant and the guru at the same level. It doesn't make sense. Right? So
Yeah, I may respect, but the way I show the respect is different. The way I show. What it means is, the way I will show the respect
yeah.
to the ant will be different than the way I show. Respect, I respect equally. But I show the respect in a different way to an ant and a different way to a tiger and a different way to my spiritual master.
Now, like the example you gave on the Yatra, Swami told about this boy, and he said she should be given the same level of whatever facility or whatever as Mofatlal's mother, right? So in that sense, it is like it's giving the same.
Because the devotees were going by the letter of the law that she cannot come for yatra, she can't pay. So again, you have to understand it in that context what we are telling. Not that literally in the sense that way. That do not disrespect just because she is not able to afford to come or she is not able to pay. That don't disrespect in that way. As you would do to somebody, do the same way. You know, you understand what we are saying.
Can I comment?
Please.
My understanding in Navras Krishna Goswami is I want to serve seniors, doing servitude. This is the poetic way of emphasizing service. The principle is service. So it's a more, it's the Sarva Bhava is emphasizing. Like Krishna says, I'm not in Vaikuntha, but I'm there where my gurus are talking about. It doesn't mean that there is Vaikuntha. But the emphasis is the association. The principle of practice of Krishna is the emphasis, the principle is the service. But when it comes to the specific detail, it changes.
The principle is service also, but the principle is the greatness of a Vaishnava. Both are the principles. It's not that only service. That Vaishnavas advanced or it is for everybody. So that's it.
Ask my question.
Hare Krishna. So you spoke about learning to put faith in Krishna's plan. That is something that I'm noticing I struggle with. Like my parents tell me, trust in Krishna's plan, but he has said it will happen. But I find myself, I try to control every aspect of every moment of every day, and I struggle to find that balance between doing my part, my duty, but also learning to put faith in Krishna's plan and trusting fully. Do you have any advice?
You will see that your plans not always work. So if you were to able to make a plan which always works, that means you are God. The fact that you are not able to plan exactly the way you want and things should go, that means there are factors and powers and forces beyond you. That's what she's saying. So trust in those powers, we are beyond you, and because we are coming to Krishna, they are all going to be in our favor. They're not against us. That's what she said. Okay.
Who you wanted to add something?
So just a comment about discrimination. Nectar of Instruction teaches us to discriminate. One should mentally honor that person. And by the way, Gopi Krishna wrote that name who has once chanted, it's Shuddhanam. He has at least once come to Krishna and purely chanted his name. One should mentally honor that person. One should pay respectful obeisances to that person who's always chanting Hare Krishna and who's engaged in the service of the spiritual master and the deity with Shraddha. And one should associate intimately with and serve those who are free from the propensity to criticize others. Uttamadhikari is defined. So discrimination is natural. And this idea of non-discrimination is, I think, almost, it's like, but I also loved your idea about how you should respect an ant. Maybe you can give her some pushadam, how you should respect jivas in different categories. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Good.
last thing I will say. See, when you say discrimination, you discriminate. You are making a judgment. You are making a judgment on a devotee, right? And that is based on your consciousness also. So if I am judging somebody, based on my consciousness also I am judging that person. So, but judgment is not good in one way, because if you are saying this is, we are trying to judge. So discrimination implies judgment, right? Internally you are judging. And you are also judging according to your own consciousness. So your consciousness may also be polluted, so you are judging based on my own consciousness and judging people. I'm just wanting to say that.
No, I mean, just taking it further from what Prabhu has said, that the scripture is highlighting this point of discrimination. Not, I mean, I don't think in English language discrimination and judgment are the same words. They're not synonymous. If you read the synonyms in Oxford, you won't find discrimination is equal to being judgmental. Discrimination is used, you are using your vivek buddhi in the right way. That means you are understanding the time, place, circumstances and using your proper intellect and responding the way you should respond by proper sadvichar, based on proper knowledge, based on proper wisdom. If you're doing that, then that is justified. That is what it should be, right? It is not necessarily judgmental. So there's definitely a difference. The scripture is saying be discriminative, how to deal with different people, right? The Madhyamadhikari keeps away from envious people, befriends devotees, treats Krishna's people as they have Godhead, and he's kind to the innocent. Right? So he's discriminating. He's keeping away from people. He respects them, but he keeps away from them because they are enemies to the Lord.
That is his way of respecting them, by keeping away from them.
So the scripture is saying, hey Baba, don't bring them very close to you because they will impinge you on your consciousness. Keep away. But other the people who are following Krishna consciousness, befriend them. Right? So the scripture seems to be telling us to be discriminative, in fact. Right? That is a sign of intelligence, to be discriminative. Intelligence has two functions, discrimination and determination. So the more discriminative we are, the more intelligent we are, in fact. Otherwise we be considered as very naive. Okay, chalega?
The only thing is our consciousness comes into it. When we discriminate, we are.
But we are going by scriptural guidance. When he quoted a verse of Madhyamadhikari, Balishu, that verse is there, right? That sloka is there. So scripture is telling us to use our consciousness in that way. There's something wrong in it. Mother, yes. Good.
Could you tie discrimination into what the scriptures say about accepting those things which are favorable to the Krishna consciousness and rejecting those things which are unfavorable? Can you tie it in?
That is one of the ways. You were talking about human relationships in discrimination. That is talking about various events and situations in life which will come, right? So you are substantiating, Mataji, that at all points of time, whether it is relationships or situations, we will have to keep this discriminatory power always intact and always in sort of the antenna opened up. The moment we lose discrimination, we actually fall into illusion. The only thing which keeps us. In fact, when I was reading Mukund Mala Stotra, I was mentioning the other day to devotees, right, that after writing the entire Mukund Mala Stotra, he prays to the Lord for some benediction from the Lord. After writing such a big, beautiful poetry, he was praying. So I was, yeah. So I was, not desperate. So I was wondering, what would be such a great Sri Vaishnava Acharya's prayer? What would be his prayer? He's already so advanced. So he prays at the end of Mukunda Sutra, my dear Lord, at all points of time, give me perfect power of discrimination. So, wow, this is Acharya is teaching something which is very practical, not something very ethereal. But yeah, in another way, we'll end on this note. Let us end on this note. We are bringing into this program now. This is such a beautiful prayer by Mukund Mala and Stotra by Kulashekar Maharaj. O Lord of the universe. Can we all recite this together?
Yeah.
With folded hands, it'll be wonderful. Let's do this as a parting exercise to this beautiful sangha which we have had. O Lord of the universe.
O Lord of the universe,
I do not desire
I do not desire
the effulgence of liberation,
the effulgence of liberation,
nor do I seek
nor do I seek
a place
a place
at the topmost planet
at the topmost planet
near
near
the lotus-eyed Lord Vishnu.
the lotus-eyed Lord Vishnu.
My only prayer
My only prayer
is that you remember me
is that you remember me
as the servant
as the servant
of 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 your devotee.
of your devotee.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai. Jai. So we want to thank Prabhu. Short journey we have come on. So we all this Columbus, so we every time they come. We want to continue the same way. Please come with us. Build a wonderful relationship with you. So we feel like we really thank you. Tomorrow that
Did you say they feel like I'm Oh, wait,
So Mahaprasad Govinda. What's next?
you.
Govinda.